That was before too long here by Paul Kelly here on the Sports Desk. And we'll get straight into the soccer. And we'll start off with the Socceroos. And they had a chance to secure their place in the top two in their Group 2 of the Asian leg of the World Cup qualifier. Instead, they drew to bottom place Thailand 2-2. Where, on the other hand, the team below them at the time, Japan, defeated top place Saudi Arabia 2-1 to jump into second place. I don't know about you, but I think Australia's run of 3 consecutive World Cups might be coming to a close.
Might just come to the end here. Ange Postecoglou couldn't get his team over the line. Look, the Socceroos kind of didn't really look that settled on the night. They, I think everyone expected them to win, being Thailand being the last place. But however, the game was played in, of course, Bangkok, which is their home ground. The actual surface was quite sodden, so it was pretty hard to play on. But the Socceroos tried to dominate for the most of the night, but they just couldn't get over the line. Pretty much as soon as the Thais scored that equaliser, they kind of just didn't have the momentum, and they were lucky to get a penalty through because I tell you what,
Japan got in front. There was 3 penalties in that game.
Unbelievable. The Blue Samurais, as you said, now go equal top of Group P. And that's big. Japan always do quite well in the Asian qualifiers, and they actually do quite well in the World Cup. But of course, the last couple of years they have been struggling a little bit. But they do have quite an underrated side. You wouldn't take them lightly.
I actually had them as my dark horse in 2014, but they didn't make the round of 16. That was very disappointing, actually.
It was, and they do have great potential, and they do play with a fair bit of flair. So they probably will qualify for 2018 in Russia. But as for Australia, it kind of hangs in the balance now. I don't know what our next match is, but
our next match is against Iraq in Iraq. There's no location. But we play Iraq on the 23rd of March, so we have a big break. Big break.
Yes. So this is a bit of time to probably pick some more players that are doing quite well in the A-League and just try and test and trial and see what we can do because... Timmy Orr and some of the other boys there, they need to step up their game a little bit, and the Caltex Socceroos, they got to perform a little bit better.
Yeah, a bit like the Australian cricket team. It's hard to believe they won a world championship just last year.
Yeah, it's very hard to believe.
They won the Asian Cup where the cricket team won the World Cup.
They did.
It's
a lot of fresh faces, and we do move to, of course, the third test, and of course South Africa absolutely obliterated the Australians, and I think batting. In this, if you've had a look, pretty much as far back as probably 2011, the Australian batting lineup has really struggled against pressure, and we seem to lose massive clumps of wicket, particularly our middle order do struggle to bat. But I think the good thing is about this test team that's just been named is there is a lot of young faces there. So for particularly players like Matt Renshaw, who opened the batting and he's only 20 years old, you kind of think that maybe the pressure might not get to him because he kind of feels, well, this is my first test. I've got nothing really to prove. I'm just here to, see how well I play. And maybe he does extremely well. You just never know. So it's definitely a new-look team, Liam.
Yeah, it is. Which is really weird as well because, I know Adelaide loves their cricket, I think they're probably second behind Victoria on their love for cricket.
Oh, yes.
But will people show up? That's the big thing. That's always going to be a thing now that we're starting to lose. I remember I went to the Boxing Day 1 in 2013 after we already won the Ashes.
Yeah.
And it was packed. But, when Australia is losing, the crowd's numbers seem to drop and interest seems to fade.
It'll be interesting to see how many people rock up to, because obviously this match they're not playing for the red ball, they're playing for the pink ball.
Oh, it's a day-night test.
So potentially they could get some more people there. Adelaide was an amazing spectacle last year. Was it last year or the year before?
We played New Zealand,
with New Zealand, and that was an incredible test match. Not a lot of runs were scored because, of course, when that ball kind of gets to the twilight period of the day, the ball starts swinging, and it's very hard to pick up the seam position.
Did you watch that? I remember that test. We had New Zealand. It was like they still had like 200 runs to win with 8 wickets remaining, and I'm like, sweet, almost over. 2 hours later, they didn't really do damage on the scoreboard, but 2 hours later, they're still in.
It's pretty incredible. It's a really different kind of game. Not a lot of runs, a lot of wickets, a lot of balls kind of swinging. It's a different kind of look. But it did extremely well last year, so I think they'll get a good crowd this year. One of the players that they have named is Chad Sayers, and Chad Sayers, believe it or not, is almost 30. So he's a journeyman. But I have a look at some of his attributes. He's actually renowned for making the ball swing at Adelaide Oval. So in that kind of twilight time, you want a player that's swinging that ball away and into the batsman. He could be a good inclusion for the Aussies, and he's taken 184 wickets at just 23.8 in 46 first-class matches. So he's one of the inclusions, and I think he might get named because, particularly with that pink ball, I think he'll do very well.
Yeah, I know there might be a bit more angst into this one. South Africa seems to be taking the piss out of the Aussies with the whole lolly situation.
Yes, of course. Now you heard about Duplessis.
Yeah, if you saw the photos of him showing a lolly to the crowd, just making sure they know it's a lolly. So I know there might be a bit of angst between the two teams. It's just that bit of sarcasm.
I think so, and I think even with that little saga, he might actually not play this week because, of course, it's illegal to start tampering with the ball during a match. Of course, the Pakistanis did that a couple of times with biting the ball. This is a little bit different with a lolly, but it's still tampering with the ball.
Why would you bite the ball?
It's crazy. Sahid Afridi must have been extremely hungry. Must have seen a sausage scroll in the in the crowd and went, "All right, why not bite this ball as well?" He might have thought it was an apple or something, but yes, very, very interesting. Of course, we've got Pakistan next, so I think it's a good opportunity, this test, to blood some youngsters, and they might definitely play in front of the Pakistanis. And yes, if some of these play, I think the thing is, if you name 3 debutants, you've got to stick with them, and I think that's what these selectors have got to do. They've named a guy who's 20. They've named Peter Hanscom, which is a Victorian, which is very rare, I've got to say.
Yes, one of the biggest issues that people that not from New South Wales have about the Australian cricket team is that they think it's pretty much the New South Wales cricket team.
It pretty much is. And I'll tell you what, I look at this team and I go, wait a minute, we've actually got a Victorian wicketkeeper and we've got a Victorian batsman. And I think that's great. I mean, I know it's only 2, and sometimes Sid's usually our only Victorian there, maybe James Patterson when he's in. But it's good to see a couple of Victorians. They're finally putting faith back into the Victorians. It's great.
About time.
Yeah.
We're going to go to a song now. We're going to talk about the AFL Draft that will be happening on Friday. This is John Farnham, you're the voice here on the Sports Desk. This is the Sports Desk with Liam and Michael today. And it is 19 past 9, and it's currently 24 degrees with a top of 32. So if you want to go down to the beach and play some beach cricket, today is the day.
Smack a couple into the ocean and hope to go and take a couple of dives, I reckon. It's
I don't know about you, but as a kid, I was like always just hit it so I can dive, hit it so I can dive.
I know. We deliberately do slips catches in the ocean, and we just kind of try and get the splice of the bat so you do these amazing catches. It's it's one of the best pastimes during the summer.
If you have a bin to set it up in the backyard and have a few bowls.
Oh, absolutely. Get the esky open, get a couple of cold ones. It's a great time of the year, Liam. It's a great time of the year.
Nothing beats backyard cricket, though. I don't know about you.
Nothing beats it. One hand, one bounce, or 2 bounce headbutt. Depends what you've got.
I've never done 2 bounce headbutt.
2 bounce headbutts can be very difficult. You can run into a couple of surfaces. Yes. Doesn't help the good old tinker. But yes, it's a beautiful time of the year.
When it comes to off season, this is probably the AFL's last one before the season kicks underway with the newly named, not NAB Cup anymore, but it's something else Cup. It's not even a cup, but the new preseason competition.
It's very huge.
Yes, this is the draft. The AFL draft takes place on Friday, where the preseason, the rookie draft, takes place on Monday. You're an Essendon supporter, right?
I'm an Essendon supporter, and I am, to be honest with you, nervous and excited at the same time. I trust Adrian Dodoro is going to make the right decision with the first pick, but the problem is that I kind of look at the top 3 and I go, wow, these guys have some serious talent. Not only are they, the top 3 are great players, great inside-out midfielders, and are already made players pretty much, but they kick goals. That's the big one I'm looking for. They kick goals. They're goal scoring. And I think, in my opinion, number 1, a lock-in for Essendon has to be Hugh McCluggage because he's had such a great season. The game before the grand final, where all the where Vic Metro did play, he was just outstanding, and he's the leading goal kicker this season.
Well, it says
so it's
here.
huge.
It says here that he plays like Scott Penderbury. So if you get in that type of category, that's something you want to play like.
Wow.
Yeah, I do go. I think McCluggon, because you want a name like McCluggon on your team.
You do.
Sounds like a name that might go to Collingwood with their goal sack, side bottom.
Yep.
You know, sounds like Broomhead. Sounds like a Collingwood type of player name, though.
Kind of does. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, it does sound a lot like that. But he seems to be a Rolls Royce, and as I said before, incredible player. 25 goals this year in just 12 games for North Ballarat. Like that's outstanding, and he really has just came out of the blue. And I think I'd be more than happy to have him as pick one. But there are obviously kind of whispers around, and Andrew McGrath's
I think
also
the Giants have their eyes on, because he's pretty much their Heath Shaw replacement when he goes. That's their goal.
That's what I've been hearing as well.
And that's why they want to pick one. It says that he plays like Jared Harbrow, and I think Jared Harbrow is probably. Ooh. This is going to be controversial, but I think Jared Harbrow was Gold Coast's best pickup out of all their free agents. That includes Gary Ablett.
Wow.
I think Harbrow has been the most consistent for him.
And I must say, very underrated player.
He is very underrated.
He was pretty good at the Bulldogs.
Yeah,
before he went over. He was very good.
Then Gold Coast gets pick 3 after matching Brisbane's bid. There's the player. I think it was Will Brodie. One on the AFL website when they had
absolutely. Will
It-
Brodie,
which was make me a Lion. So he goes. I think he told Brisbane that he wouldn't mind moving up there and he wouldn't leave in 2 years. They've probably heard that more than once, but
Oh yeah. He might like the environment. He might like the club that he's at, and he might stay. Another player worth mentioning, Ben Ainsworth. Now, look, he is a small forward. He kicks a lot of sausage rolls though, and he got a really incredible. He ran 2.9 seconds in over 20 metres, so he's explosive and quite strong. Played from the Gippsland Power, and he's set to go at pick 3, but I reckon he could go higher than that.
Well, on the Phantom draft here, they got him at pick 5 at Carlton.
Ooh.
Get any bets like player there?
Wow, that could be very handy for him.
Let's hope he doesn't leave. But
let's hope he doesn't go to Adelaide.
Hey, if you want to be a future forward, play for Carlton first and then move clubs, and your career will be so much better off.
And then go to Adelaide. It happens with so many of them. And Bryce Gibbs almost happened to him. But there are a lot of great players in this draft. Will Setterfield's at between 5 and 6, and there's one I want to talk about is actually further down the draft order, and he's a bit of a wild card, to be honest. And we love our wild card talents, and I'm just trying to find him. I think he's low down the order. I think he could be pick 19 on this Phantom draft. Oh no, he's 21. Shai Bolton is the player that we're talking about. He's from South Fremantle, and he's incredibly quick.
Oh, plays like Sirioli.
He plays like Sirioli, and that's a fair rap. That's delicious, and it's a fair rap. But he's such an X factor, and of course, if you're an X factor, you have some quiet games. But his upside is just unbelievable. It's hard to believe in the Phantom he goes at 21. I could see him going a lot higher for that. It just depends on what club is willing to kind of take the risk.
I remember when Fife started, this is when he was a skinny young Fife.
Yes.
They compared him to James Hird, and I didn't know why, because I remember James Hird towards the end of his career.
Yes.
But then I watched on the Fox 3, they had the reruns, and it was the Sydney Essendon 96 prelim final.
Oof.
And the way James Hird played, I could see the... Just hopefully Fife doesn't do what James Hird did. Become the coach and then destroy the club from within. The usual
Escape
stuff.
to Paris,
But as a Freo supporter, I'm looking at Tim English. Tim English should be the only player the Freo should get as their first pick.
And I think it's a very good pick for you guys. We were talking off air before the show that he's quite a tall lad.
Yeah, 204 centimetres, 86 kilos, so he needs to put a bit more weight, but he's...
Are we potentially looking at the next Aaron Sanderlands here, are we, Liam?
That's what every Freo supporter hopes, though.
Oh, I know, right? But the reality is you do need a player like him because, I mean... Cam McCarthy's obviously going to be a really big inclusion into your forward line. He replaces your Matthew Pavlich type.
He's 193. He's a bit too short.
And exactly.
Apnes was the one I was telling you, who's 200 centimetres.
Taberner's done pretty well the last couple of years.
I just think he might be on his way out with the whole Kirsten, McCarthy, Apnes.
Could well do.
For once in a while, there's a big fight for the 3 or 4 line.
I know. It's great. It no longer means that if you're tall, you're an automatically lock in there. You actually have to fight for that spot. So there will be a lot going on in the waffle next season to see who does get that forward spot. But I think Tim English is a good pickup for you guys. He's currently ranked pick 13, but to be honest with you, he'll go higher than that. He'll probably go for your pick. Is it pick 8?
Yeah, pick 8. Yeah.
Pick 8.
And a few clubs, I can see Gold Coast picking him up, even though they have Tom Nichols. I think they could risk it and try to get another ruckman.
They could do.
I think GWS will probably set on Rory Lobb. Rory Lobb is an absolute gem for them. So I don't know.
Absolutely. And there was whispers that he could have gone at the end of this season as well, but he decided to
Hogan
stay.
as well, him and Sign.
And Hogan, and it's incredible. Those two players re-signed, and there were whispers that they were both going to go to the same club, being of course Fremantle. So now Fremantle do have to make a statement and get one of those tall players because they're clearly looking for more quality.
But yeah, because Sanders 34. He's got his last year next year. Zach Clark signed a 1-year deal.
Exactly.
He could return to his 2013 form or continue dropping off.
That's right. And just to clarify, Sanderlands has retired.
No, he's got one more year left.
He's got one more year left. He's got one more year left. So there's no better opportunity for Tim English than to establish himself this year, learn from the best. Learn from the absolute best, even though Sanderlands just stands there and taps it because he's so big. But, he's going to learn from him, going to learn the attributes, probably going to gain a tank. So then next season, when that Freo midfield really starts to reign supreme with Fife, Nil, maybe even Harley Bennell, dare I say it. Hill as well. Hill's an outstanding player. So there's some exciting times there for Freo. It's very hard to pick where they're going to finish next season.
I've thought that as well. I think they can finish anywhere between 15th and 8th.
That's what I think.
I think it's same with your Mob Essendon. It's just how will the players that come back go?
It's going to be very difficult to see. And I keep looking at that 8 and I go, I think North Melbourne are definitely going to fall out of that 8.
I've got them last on my ladder.
Got them last?
Yes, on my Phantom ladder, I've got North Melbourne at the bottom. I think they'll be the...
I mean, when the soul gets taken out of your side, like what's happened with them, without a doubt, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle next season. St Kilda as well, I think, are going to do very well. They've done some really good recruiting, extremely good recruiting with those young GWS players.
I was talking to Alex. I think I was talking to Alex last week on air. And I did a show earlier in the year with another guy called the AFL Hour. And I spoke about Revolt and thinking, when he signed midway through the year, St Kilda were, I think, only had 2 wins.
2 wins.
And if he had the choice to probably sign again, I think he would have retired. Because I think St Kilda's improved much faster than he and everyone else thought they would have.
Exactly. And just having him there, he's just such an inspirational player. Even when the game is practically over, he still does those incredible sprinting leads. And if he can take someone under his wing, particularly that young forward line that's there with Josh Bruce and the likes, they can definitely contend next season. I compare them a lot to the Doggies. I look at them.
I see that. Yep.
And they both were, of course, the prelim finalists in those 2008, 2009 years. And if only they could have played against each other in the grand final.
Well, they had
the
best chance exactly all the way back in '97 when the Doggies choked against the Crows.
Exactly. Just would have been perfect.
Talking about the draft, I know Freo. See, this is another reason why I think Freo should get Tim English. The last 2 years, they've picked up gems like Darcy Tucker. Last year they got up
extremely
in the
good
20s.
Player. Yep.
I knew a guy who lived in Horsham around where Darcy Tucker lived. Friend of a friend. He wasn't too happy about getting drafted Freo. Not because of the fact he got drafted Freo, because he kind of got promised he'd be drafted a lot earlier.
Yes.
Then the year before they got Lockie Weiler, picked 20, I think.
He was a very good pick.
And he's been an absolute superstar.
I mean, besides obviously getting a hanger taken on him in round 1 of this season by Easton Wood, I'm sure a lot of players will admit to getting a hanger taken on them by him. But, besides then, he's of course, the brother of Maverick.
How good has he been as well?
He's been incredible as well.
He's gone from being delisted at Gold Coast to a smoky for the captaincy of St Kilda.
I was about to say, he's got some big captain attributes as well. Him and Stephen are definitely fighting for that position. So, he's going to be a player for the future as well. So there's definitely some good talent in the Weller family.
Yeah, and this draft is something it looks forward to. I did say the midfield draft.
Yep, it certainly is. But if you look at the top 10, a lot of midfielders there. A couple of good backmans, but a lot of midfielders. And I think the big one that they're looking for this season is goal-kicking midfielders. And that's why I think Essendon, they've really got to make a statement here. Get Hugh
goal-kicking midfielders win premierships.
They do. They really do.
I think most of Sydney's goals in the grand final came from midfielders.
I think Josh Kennedy had about 3 or 4 goals. He was outstanding, and just goes to show they can pop them from outside 50. They become really big targets because a lot of forwards these days get double.
I think it plays like Dangerfield and Fife. You could put at the half forward flank.
They can.
and then run into the midfield as well. And they're both Brownlow medalists. So
Exactly.
getting
exactly.
a goal-kicking midfield is probably the most thing any recruiter will be looking at.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think for Essendon, for mine, you'd have to pick Hugh McCluggage. But I think if you picked any of those players within the top three that are going at the Phantom Draft after him, McGrath or Ben Ainsworth, I think you'd be very happy with one of those three.
Jack Bowles is also another one of that could be in the top three.
Jack Bowles, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and Will Brodie.
Tim Taranto as well has been compared to some pretty high up players, and I think Freo could potentially look at him as pick 7 as well. If they don't go for Tim English, I think they should go for Tim English. But this guy can kick a couple of goals as well, and he's quite tall as well, about 186. So he can play. And is a very big magnet to that ball as well.
The last thing I wanted to talk about before we go to a song is the free agency.
Yes.
Essendon picked up Joshy Green
last
week.
Very happy about that. The listed free agent.
Yes.
And very handy player, mind you. He kicked 81 goals a couple of seasons ago. Obviously didn't have a huge season this season. That's the only concern for mine. He didn't have a huge season just last season. I think he only kicked 10 goals from 15 games. So not a huge season. But he does have the potential to be a really good crumbing forward. Essendon don't have a crumbing forward. So I look at Orazio Fantasia. He's an up and coming kind of crumbing forward, and he was outstanding last season. Really came in leaps and bounds.
Do you know who's a gem? Anthony McDonald. Tipper
I
Woody.
knew you were going to say him. I love Tipper. And they have this thing on the Essendon website called I think Tip and Woody Wednesday or something like that. And it's just you just see him and he's a beast.
Do you follow Essendon on Twitter?
I do.
They are the most savage team.
They are. We're crazy, particularly with what's going on at the moment.
Whoever's in charge of Essendon Twitter, I take my hat off them. They are funny.
They're great. And I also love the Bulldog Banner guy. He's outstanding as well.
Hilarious.
But no, Josh Green's a very good pickup. Must mention Matthew Barlow, of course. This happened a while ago, but he was picked up by Gold Coast.
He's a gem. He will be an absolute gem for the Gold Coast.
It's an absolute gem. And he's one hell of a player. He did very well at Freo. I think he's pretty stiff to get cut out of that side.
He can kick a bag of goals. He can tag. He can get 40 touches.
And he can, as you said, can kick some really good goals as well. So I think with an up and coming midfield as Gold Coast are, to bring that experience in, he'll be outstanding.
Oh
I think.
yeah. And then just some rumours, which is Will Minson to Collingwood.
Ooh.
He got spotted at the training facilities.
Gee, Sport Deck's first, if you don't mind, Liam, bringing in the big news.
The last one I heard was Matthew. This is just the last one I heard was Matthew De Boer. Melbourne seems to be interested with him, which is good. He's a hard nut midfielder / forward. He's one of those defensive forwards.
Yep.
Might kick 3 goals in a season, but he's one of those best when it comes to tackling pressure. Another gem from the Fremantle Dockers.
I don't know how Melbourne are going to fit all these players in. They're just really stocking up, and of course they've got the 2 banned Essendon players coming back, being Hibbert and Jake Melksham. And Jack Watts, if any of you saw on the AFL website, a little bit different. He's got a really kind of light. It's almost like he bleached his hair.
Plays one good season and all.
And he's like, oh, look at me! I'm gonna put bleach hair so everyone sees me perform. So
one good year comes back as the king of Melbourne.
He certainly does think that. I mean, hey, he's finally living up to that number 1 draft pick, so why not go crazy hairstyle?
We're going to go to a song now, and we're going to talk about some rugby league, and rugby union here on the Sports Desk. This is the Sports Desk here on SYN with Liam and Michael. And let's talk about some rugby now.
Oh, the Aussies.
The Aussies have taken out their third Fourth Nations title.
Wow.
And believe it or not, this is the... this is the 5th Four Nations tournament, and Australia's now won 3, New Zealand's won 2. This is the first time the Aussies have defeated New Zealand in the final.
And on English soil, mind you, as well.
Yes, and there was quite a small crowd, which brought up a topic, is this the end of international rugby league?
Well, it's funny, it was played in Liverpool. And look, Anfield is a pretty big ground, of course, for the EPL, but I was kind of looking at it and going, yeah, Liverpool. Like, shouldn't they could have played it in maybe the O2 Stadium or a stadium in London, but no, Liverpool's a different choice.
Oh, yeah.
But, if you've got 2 foreign nations playing on English soil for the final, then I suppose they're probably not going to get as many as they can.
And it's Australia and New Zealand. I don't think any Englishman wants to see Australia and New Zealand, especially Australia.
Particularly their 2 colonies doing extremely well.
Oh, yeah. That's the
it's the ultimate stir, isn't it? Yes.
And New Zealand didn't score until the 55th minute, where they scored 2 tries in a row. But, yeah, it was all Australia from the get-go.
Then it was all over.
Blake Ferguson scored a try in the 3rd minute. Duggan scored a try in the 14th. Merrin scored a try in the 21st. Dugan, and then Boyd in the 32 and the 44th. And it was just all Aussies the entire game.
All Aussies. If you look at it, 34-8, that's an absolute flogging. Considering New Zealand, are pretty much the shoe-in for rugby, any form of rugby. They are just outstanding. But, the Australians have won the Four Nation titles a couple of times. We actually won. We bet New Zealand back in 2011. We bet England in 2011,
and we bet England twice, and then New Zealand defeated us twice.
They did. They bet us in 2014 and 2010, but we did beat them in 2009, 46-16. So, looking at the finals, besides the one they bet us in, actually the two that New Zealand have won, they've been pretty close games. But the ones that we've won, we've all flogged the opposition. So the same trend happened today. Australia won, and they won quite convincingly. But it was a very successful tour. Cooper Cronk is worth mentioning. He was the man of the tournament, of course.
He coming off a Dalian medal.
Just
missed out on the premiership medallion.
Exactly, and just an absolute superstar out of the half back line. So he definitely deserved. And this in a sense for me is probably, is kind of that medal that he deserved that you just speak about. I think winning for Australia, playing for your country, and then of course winning the man of the tournament. That around his next, he's definitely going to cherish that for a long time.
I don't think it will ever be the end of international rugby league, even though Australia is dominant in it. But it's true. I don't think the international rules in AFL should ever end. I love the Australian versus Irish. It was such a smart concept. They merged two games. Two leagues are kind of like themselves, very just independent to their own country.
Absolutely.
And don't get the media coverage that NFL has. But talking about another rugby, a big upset happened yesterday with Italy defeating South Africa, the Springboks. I don't know.
The Italians.
Yeah.
That's a spicy meatball.
The Kiwis got their revenge over Ireland. If you didn't know that, Ireland defeated them a few weeks ago.
They did. That was a very, very big upset.
21-9, and the Aussies just got over the French, 25-23. It's almost the end of the international, just the tour. Australia's got a game against the Irish and a game against the English to wrap things up. The Kiwis have a game against France, and we'll see if there's any other good games to look at. I'll probably keep an eye on Wales and South Africa. That seems like a nice game.
And Wales aren't the worst. They actually are quite surprisingly good.
The last few World Cups, I remember I've said this, Wales and Ireland, they finished top of their group, and I think, they're going to go into the World Cup final, and they lost. Both of the teams lost. One was against Australia last year.
I do remember that.
Another sport that Australia seems to be falling down at, and we made the World Cup final last year.
Unbelievable.
I think Australia might just need to take a break from sport for a little bit.
I think so.
Just go on vacation, find themselves.
Enjoy this summer. Have a couple of VBs, a couple of cold ones. Just enjoy yourself. Try and recuperate yourself. Get all those skills back.
Yeah, have a couple of snags. Just
go down back and enjoy yourself.
Just go down to Bunnings, get a few sausages.
Exactly. You use a drone actually when you do that. I think that's very important.
Get the $9,000 fine.
Exactly. But hey, it's all worth it. Why would you leave your couch anyway?
That's the most Aussiest thing I've ever heard of.
I know. It's unbelievable. You wouldn't hear that anywhere else. There's drones. Yep.
The close thing was the Brit who bungee jumped to dip his biscuit into a cup of tea.
I did hear that. So
I don't know what's more. That should be like a competition.
I don't know whether that's worse than the fight. This is serious. It's about £578 million. They're doing a renovation to Buckingham Palace at the moment.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And I'm just kind of thinking, couldn't they put some of that money into, I don't know, their cricket team or maybe, I don't know, making bigger roads for their huge population? I don't know. Of course, the Royals always come first in England, but I just kind of think, they might need some help in the rugby at the moment.
Just before we go to the song, I just realised we forgot to mention the A-League.
The A-League.
Just two quick ones here. Sydney FC, who were undefeated, went 6-0. Couldn't continue their run, drawing 1-1 with the Brisbane Roar.
They are still on top of the A-League ladder,
flying.
Mind you, on 19 points, 6 points clear of Melbourne City, who were going along very nicely until Tim Cahill joined the Socceroos over in their campaign.
The Melbourne Victory and Wellington Phoenix game got postponed due to the earthquake in New Zealand.
Of course.
So that game will be played at a later date. And Central Coast are now on 591 days without a clean sheet in the A-League.
Ouch.
And the count continues. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It is. We love records on this show, and that is a quite significant one.
So we go to a break, and we're going to talk about the American sports, the NFL and the NBA, here on the Sports Desk. That was Jet Planes here on the Sports Desk. It's currently 10 minutes to 10 here, and it is 24 degrees again with a top
Whew.
of 38.
It's going to be a hot day, I'll tell you.
It's beautiful.
Wow. Lovely weather. Everyone get out there. As we were saying before, play some beach cricket. Some beach volleyball as well, we should mention, is a very good sport during the summer. And if you've got some water guns as well, don't be afraid to pull them out today.
Oh, yeah, have a nice Mexican standoff. It's going to be lovely.
Bit of a Mexican standoff.
Yes.
You can't beat it. So loving the weather in Melbourne, everyone. Get out.
Before we get to the American sports, we've just left out some tennis and some racing. I'll throw it over to you.
Of course. Now, Andy Murray, as we know, he usually comes a very, very soft second
He's the
in a lot of his
big
tournaments.
Four.
And poor Andy Murray, of course, whenever he loses, he's known as a Scot. Whenever he wins, he's known as a United Kingdom citizen. He's known as a Brit. That's kind of the way it works for him. But finally, after so long, after so many questions around this man, we know he's a good tennis player, but he's not a great tennis player. And there's a difference. You've got to try and grab that world number one in order to be the best. But he finally has. Overnight, he bet Novak Djokovic. And we must mention that Novak Djokovic has had the wood over him for quite some time. In fact, I've dug up a stat earlier, Liam, that actually says that Djokovic has only conceded 2 matches to Andy Murray in the last 15 games that they've played since 2013. So he rarely loses to him.
I know one was the US Open, and that's the only one I can remember, because I know Andy Murray, Djokovic seems to always have the wood over him, especially in Australian Open.
Australian Open, he just can't get through. It almost feels like deja vu every single time that Andy Murray's up there. He goes, it's the same result again.
And the only time Djokovic didn't make it, it was Rafael Nadal versus, what's his name?
Federer?
No, it's the other Swedish guy.
Stan the man. Stan the man, yes. Well, actually, Andy Murray did beat Stan, easy 2-set win. In, of course, the ATP Tour Finals in London to get into the final. And then, Andy Murray absolutely obliterated him, 6-3, 6-4. And this is his first ATP Tour win. And he actually checks a very nice $1.1 million after that win. So well done to you, Andy Murray. You can go and find the Loch Ness Monster with that.
Yeah.
And that is the Scots' 24th consecutive victory and the 5th consecutive title that he's won. He's absolutely flying at the moment, Andy Murray. He's only 29, so
he's got plenty of time left.
He's got plenty of time. Look at Fed. The Fed Express is still going strong, so probably not as much as what he used to, but still gives him some hope. If Andy Murray could hold on to this, it would be very, very, very.
And also now in racing, an Australian legend has hung up his gloves, his boots, his
helmet.
He hung up his helmet.
I think that's the way you say it. Mark Webber.
He parked the car.
Mark Webber, to me, will go down in my living memory as that Australian that always got pole position but just never could quite win the big race. But we do forget that he actually was the first Australian to win a Formula 1 Grand Prix in almost 3 decades. So that's quite a long time between drinks. He, of course, won the 2009 German Grand Prix. So he's 40 years old now, Mark Webber. He's had an incredible 23 seasons of racing. And he finished well. He finished in a podium finish. So he didn't finish first, but he finished on the podium. I think he'd be very happy with that. In Bahrain, 6-hour race, so not an easy race for anyone, particularly a 40-year-old like Mark Webber.
Don't know about you, but have you ever done a 6-hour drive?
No, I haven't. I did. I think the closest thing I've ever done was we did about a 8 or 10 hour day driving from Victoria to WA. But in that day, I only did about 4 hours myself, so it probably wasn't a huge drive. 2 hours straight to me is pretty difficult. But this guy did 6 hours in a very, very fast car.
Very hot car as well. That thing would heat up like no one's business.
So I think at the age of 40, he would be quite happily hanging up, as we said, the helmet. But good racing from him. Been an incredible Australian. Daniel Ricciardo was at the race, so in some senses could be a changing of the baton.
Changing of the helmet?
Of the helmet?
Yeah.
Change of the tyres? Yes, very, very, very good indeed. So well done to you, Mark Webber.
Now let's go over to America. And in the NFL, the Cowboys have tightened their grip on top of the NFL ladder with a 27-17 win over the Ravens.
Wow.
At the moment, the teams who are second at the moment, the Patriots are winning against the 49ers at halftime. and the Chiefs went down to the Buccaneers 17-19, and the Raiders are yet to play. They play tomorrow, but it's a tight race at the moment at the top of the NFL table, and with only a 17-week season. Yeah, it's
now. Of course, the Patriots, of course, took the title a couple of years ago. They're a very good team. You wouldn't rule those guys out. They still have some very good talent there. And where are they ranked at the moment?
They are currently third.
So definitely not out of their reach.
Well, the Denver
on any
Broncos
stretch.
finished fourth, and it was pretty much it looked like a two-team league competition with the Panthers and the Patriots.
That's right.
They looked like the only two teams that could win, and the Denver Broncos went up and took the whole thing. And it's the year, I don't know, maybe the years of upsets can continue. As you've seen with Leicester City, the Bulldogs, the Sharks, and the Cubs. So
and Donald Trump. It's
the
been a
big
season
D.
of upsets.
Oh, yeah.
Season of upsets. It could definitely continue, and
Yes.
don't rule anyone out of the
actually,
top four.
Talking about that, if you look at the ladder, Adelaide United won the A-League last year, winning their first championship after losing two. So I wouldn't say it was a big upset, but I'll say it's a very minor one.
It is.
They're currently last without a win. Leicester City are down not the relegation zone, but they're down the bottom of their ladder. So if I was the Bulldogs or the Sharks or the Cubs, I think I'll get stuck in the preseason.
Absolutely, you would.
Just let's not. Other teams who's finished first, like Fremantle and the Roosters, also had bad seasons after finishing top of the table. So
that's right. So it's funny. You can fall from grace the next season if you just don't have a strong preseason.
Yeah.
So any team can win it.
I don't know about you, but looking at the Bulldogs, I think they could do a Hawthorn of 09.
They could well do. They could kind of fall from grace a little bit and then come back and really dominate again.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at Luke Beveridge as a coach who's going to be relentless, who's just going to make sure he's pressing that pressure and making sure that team gets absolute success.
And I don't think Bob Murphy will let it happen, but
exactly. And Bob Murphy coming back, you just hope he can have some success there while they're there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, NBA is another American sport, and the results this morning, the Knicks got over the Hawks 104-94, played very well. The Trail Blazers, kind of jumped the Nets and got to 129 over 109. Clippers yesterday got over the Bulls. The Warriors had a very, very close win against my team, the Bucks.
really,
and
you go for the Bucks?
I go for the Bucks.
That's a very.
Well, the thing was, I've only just started following the NBA probably about 2 seasons ago, and one of my mates said, "Oh, the Bucks, they're going to be the next big thing." And I know they've got Dellavedova, which is now a big reason for me barracking for him, because I'm like, "Oh, great, we've got an Australian now. It's really good, a good team." But we probably don't have the best young talent. I look at the LA Lakers. I really like their young talent.
They've had a great season.
I think they've had a really great season, and beating the Golden State Warriors, that was a huge win for them. Gives them a lot of confidence, particularly like covering now for Kobe Bryant.
I don't know about you, right? But I find it amazing. Once Kobe became the best player in the NBA, all these diehard Golden State supporters decided to come out.
Oh, exactly.
Like all these yearly, all their lives been going for the Golden State. Oh, I just find it amazing how they all just come out.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's not because he's the best player and it's just a fad, LeBron or Curry. But yeah.
I tell you what, though, I do hope the Bucks do get some success. They're 5-7 now. The Warriors are 11-2, so they're clearly doing better. But I think for the Bucks, like the last couple of seasons have been quite dry for them. But yeah, 5-7, I think they'll take that. Of course, one of our Greek hopefuls. Now I don't know how to pronounce his name. Giannis. He had a very good game. Scored 30 points. So he's a good player for us at the moment. Of course, the Warriors, Kevin Durant did incredibly well. He got 33 points. So, worth noting, the Bucks got very close in that game. So,
nice.
Good on them. I just thought my home team, I'm very, very happy for them.
My team, the Boston Celtics, are doing not too bad either. So,
well, that's good. That's good. Yes, the Irish. They did beat the Pistons, so that's a very good win indeed. Very good win indeed.
So that's all we have here today on the Sports. I'll thank you very much, Michael, for coming in and helping me out.
Thank you very much, Liam. Quick tip about the cricket. How do you think we're going to go?
South Africa will bat twice.
They'll bat twice. Well, that's good.
There you go. That's my main tip.
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, that's what we've been wanting to hear.
What about you?
Well, I think it's going to be a very interesting match. I don't think a lot of runs are going to be scored, to be honest with you. I think that Adelaide pitch, particularly with that pink ball, could be pretty low scores, but I think both teams are going to bat like what you said. So I'm hoping to see. I'm going to put in a little tip and say our opener, our 20-year-old, he's going to do very well, Renshaw. So look out for him, and I wish Peter Hanscom the very best.
I wish all the Aussies all the best.
He's a Victorian. Yes. We love him.
Oh, we do. We do love our Aussies. Peter Siddle gets the biggest claps. And
I love him. I love him. Sids, good old Sids. But it has been a pleasure joining you today, Liam.
Lovely.
And join us on Friday.
Yes, Schools on Air is next, and yes, this is the Sports on SYN.